Hey, good morning. It is Monday, the 10th of September, 2018, and we're back here again on camera. How are you doing today? How are things going on in your life? Are you finding interest in certain areas? Are you enjoying your classes? Are you enjoying the sports that you're playing? Perhaps you're playing volleyball on a regular basis. I'm curious about how that's going. I'm wondering what things are popping up in your life. What things are interesting you right now? Are you reading any interesting books? How are your classes? How are your teachers? Are you finding that you've got friends in some of your classes? That's nice to have sometimes. It's nice to have that camaraderie among your fellow students and friendship. So today is Monday, and I think it's time for our peaceful living series. Let's get that started. So it's the 10th, and I'll just read an excerpt from Mary Mackenzie's book. Here we go. It is well to give when asked, but it is better to give unasked through understanding. Kahlil Gibran. I think that's how you say his name. Let me say the quote again. It is well to give when asked, but it is better to give unasked through understanding. And so this is Mary Mackenzie's interpretation. The gift of understanding, that's the subtitle. All people long for understanding. It is such an easy thing to give, yet rarely do we see its importance in creating peace of mind. Consider a situation in which you have just heard that your boyfriend is dating one of your friends. You call another friend to tell her about it, and she says, "You must be feeling so hurt because you'd like to trust that your friends will be honest with you." When someone simply reflects our feelings and needs without aggravating the situation, we feel instant relief because they got us. I'd rather be got than have people commiserate with me. Commiseration can sound like, "Oh my, I can't believe this. How utterly insensitive and thoughtless of both of them. What a betrayal." This can sound supportive, but it plays into the problem and stimulates more pain. On the other hand, when we offer understanding to another person, we receive the gift of connection. Everyone wins. And the aphorism for the day is, today, be aware of your desire to commiserate and see if you can turn it into an opportunity to empathize with another person. Yeah. So, this idea of how valuable understanding is really deep for human beings. I know that sometimes when I'm feeling down and blue, I have a sense that I'm the only one, or that I'm the only one who's experiencing this or has ever experienced it, and others can't understand because they don't have the same kind of experiences that I have, nor are they involved in the same situation that I'm involved in. And it's a very excluding type of thinking, and it's almost like believing that other people cannot relate to our problems, or at least it's a thought about how that might be the case. And I'm kind of always surprised when other people can sort of provide insight to me, when they're able to sort of understand where I'm coming from, where maybe they've had a similar experience. It's always kind of startling and surprising sometimes. Like, oh, other people have gone through this exact same situation. Maybe not the exact same situation, but similar situations. People have felt the kind of feelings that I feel. They have similar needs that I have. It's really just affirming to hear it coming from someone else. No matter how old you get, I'm really not sure why that's so valuable. That reflection, that understanding, that sort of empathy. I'm really not sure why the human brain reacts so pleasantly to that. It's almost a kind of relief. Like, oh yeah, someone else understands what I'm going through. And even if that understanding doesn't change the situation, I feel a sense of partnership with the other person. I feel a sense of maybe being a little bit more in control when I am acknowledged. And even better when I'm accepted by another person. Yeah. It's really valuable medicine. And, also I think what it does is it helps us explore the ideas ourselves. If another person can provide some kind of support, basically they're reflecting back what I'm saying, I'm able to re-examine the ideas that I'm expressing when are bounced back to me, when they're reflected to me. I get to sort of parse those ideas, parse that narrative, and re-examine it in a new way, and sometimes take away a different perspective. When I hear that another person has had a similar experience, there's a sharing, there's an exchange there, an exchange of attitudes and perspectives and information about that. I think that can be helpful. Maybe they'll use a different set of words, say keywords related to the situation that I might use. And, comparing and contrasting those words can be helpful in exploring the situation. It's really a very creative process, this whole idea of relating about a tough situation. It's creative. It's almost like a brainstorming process. I'll tell you about my attitudes and perspectives, and maybe you can share your attitudes and perspectives, and maybe we can learn something together. It's really a joint process where we're exploring together on a journey of understanding. And there's something really profound about that. And there's also a nice sense of partnership there, how we are working shoulder to shoulder with another person to relieve our pain and come up with alternate different strategies or new strategies to bring relief and satisfaction and peace in our lives. It's really something that people who love each other do. People who care for each other, who are kind and gentle. It's that kind of practice, that practice of understanding, exploration, empathizing, sympathizing. I hesitate to say sympathizing, but no, sympathizing is very helpful too. Largely because it's encouraging. If they survived the situation, then I can survive the situation. It gives me hope at a time when I might be fairly hopeless. Yeah. And you know what? I feel loved because it appears that someone's trying to help me out. You know, I feel loved when I receive this understanding, when there's this commonality between our experiences. You know, I feel like I belong at a time when I'm in pain, right? So this is very valuable stuff. It's very powerful. And, you know, it's part of the joy and pleasure of being human, being able to relate to other people on their level, you know, from their understanding, and provide insights that maybe they don't have access to. And, you know, just sort of, you know, I can get insights myself just by expressing the ideas in an ordered way, telling my story, telling the narrative while I assemble in my mind this story and, you know, offer it to another. I'm processing that story at the same time. You know, there's a processing that goes on where I'm figuring out what a situation means to me. I might not have even carefully examined it until that happened. You know, I can imagine being caught up in some thoughts related to a past experience. And, you know, it's in my head, you know, turning and churning, and I'm trying to figure it out. You know, there's uncertainty there, maybe some confusion. And, you know, as I pull it together to tell that story to another person, I myself am stringing together words and concepts and ideas that help me process it. Yeah. You know, there's something really powerful about that. Something affirming. It's self-affirming. You know, I think it's strengthening. You know, it's emotionally strengthening, intellectually strengthening. Yeah. And, you know, I think it's really healthy. You know, because a lot of the time, we just don't know. Not only do we not know what we want, but we often don't know what happened. You know, we're struggling to interpret what happened. Well, what happened just now? What does it mean? There's this gap in our understanding. I mean, we know what happened. We saw it. But what does it mean? You know, often there's uncertainty there. We don't have all the information available. I don't know what inspired other people's actions, or even my own sometimes. Sometimes I'm not sure of the intention. Something happens. What did they intend? I can only guess. You know, often things happen so quickly. They're so rapid as they unfold. Person A does something, person B responds, person A responds to that, and person B responds to that. It's like a back and forth. Relationships are so back and forth, and they happen so quickly. It's so automatic. And then after an exchange, you walk away and you're asking yourself, well, what just happened there? Did the worst thing that I could possibly imagine happen? Or maybe it was the best. It's not all too clear a lot of the time. You know, I sympathize with the human condition. We just don't know. Not only do we not know what happened, you know, we try to fill in the gaps. But we also don't quite know what we want either. So there's all this uncertainty. It's so funny. And what's funny too is that human beings love certainty. We love it. We feel safe when things are certain. when they've been established, right? We feel secure and safe when we know what's happening, when we know what's going on. And, we crave that. We crave that solidity. It's funny too, because we often also crave excitement. So human beings are always changing their perspective. Is it good that this is exciting or not so good? There's this threshold where something that's safe becomes unsafe. And, I think often we're unsure about how we feel about it. My goodness gracious. Human beings, the human mind. How funny we are. Anyway. Well, so I'm bringing up my clipboard here. My handy clipboard. It's got some ideas on it I want to discuss. Well, I took my camera out for a field test yesterday. I might have mentioned that I got a new Canon EOS M50 mirrorless camera, and I'm pretty excited about it. In fact, I'm filming with that camera right now. And I took it out to Santa Barbara yesterday, to Montecito. I stuffed it in my backpack, and I wanted to go take some photos, and I did. I took some photos in a park of some palm trees and some flowers and a water fountain. I really enjoyed the experience. I really love photography. It's such a creative pursuit. I love how, for me, it's about finding another way to look at the same old thing. There's up close and far back. You get to sort of put yourself in a place where you see a new perspective on an old scene. And, you're basically you ask yourself, what unique way can I see this particular scene or landscape? And, what's intriguing about it? And, I'm sort of seeking out the beauty and the uniqueness in my external environment. And that's very pleasing. I like bringing my attention to that kind of detail. And I also just like taking photographs. Basically you take your experience of the world and freeze frame it. It becomes mine. That light, I capture those photons on my in my CCD camera, and it's mine forever, and I can look upon it anytime I want again in the future and reminisce about my experience there. It's so pleasurable. And when I don't take my camera on an outing, like I've forgotten it, I'm sad about it. I really enjoy taking pictures, and I enjoy taking pictures of other people and myself in selfies and group photos. I find them so interesting, and I really love looking back at that experience and sampling those feelings again. Yeah. It really serves as a good reminder about the past. I think people have a tendency to overgeneralize about what their life was like, not just yesterday or last weekend, but what was it like last month or last year? Photographs help bring some fidelity to that understanding. I'm able to select a few photographs and say, hey, this happened, and that happened, and this happened. And quite often, I'm taking photographs of things I enjoy and appreciate. So when I look back at those photographs, I'm reminded about all the wonderful things that happened, all the wonderful people that I met, all the wonderful experiences I had. And, that recognition is important. It helps sort of calibrate my view about what happened in the past. You know, um, so I really appreciate taking pictures for that reason. It provides an optimism about my past that I might not otherwise have. It's really easy to say, all that happened. That wasn't important. Um, that's not good enough. A lot of the small things that happen in our life also make a valuable contribution to it. There's a contribution of beauty that things happen that we may just take it for granted. Like, oh, I just went to Santa Barbara, I just went to Montecito, I do it every week, which is largely true. It was a park like any other park, palm trees like any other palm trees, nothing special. It's so easy to dismiss the little things that make our lives so interesting and valuable and enjoyable. So easy to dismiss those little things, those basic things, you know? And having a camera by your side is a way to appreciate the basic things that happen. Now, how many palm trees have I seen in my life? Thousands, maybe tens of thousands of palm trees, I'm sure. With a camera in my hand, though, I'm able to take that palm tree and reimagine it. I'm able to experience it again in a new way. And that brings enjoyment and happiness to my life. It's really true. It's really true. It's also a very creative process. It's about getting curious about your surroundings. It's also about using a skill set. That's something, I can be proud of. There are, in order to use a camera, there are skills that I need to develop. I need to develop a knowledge of my equipment and how to use it. It's not necessarily intuitive. And, I've got to read the manual sometimes and troubleshoot some items. And when I do take a nice photograph, I can recognize the skill associated with taking that photograph and feel good about myself for having taken it. Yeah. There's a lot to enjoy about taking photographs. It may seem like an idle pastime, but it really isn't idle at all. There's a lot of creativity, a lot of thinking. It's really a source for artistic expression too. It's sort of something that I can share about my experience. It's information that I can put on Facebook, a photograph I can text to somebody. It's sort of also a means to connect with others as I share my experience with other people. So it's a way of sort of bringing people into my world. This is what I experienced on this day. So there's so many benefits. I mean, I've already described at least 3. The social cohesiveness, when I can share my experience with others. The pride I feel when taking photographs. The joy I can remember when I look over photographs that I've taken in the past. Those are really important aspects of photography. And, I think they can sort of reinforce a good life. I think it really does go hand in hand with having a good life. Anyway, enough about photography. I enjoy it. So let's see, what's going on with me lately? I have had a focus lately on friendship. I think I'm only going to talk briefly about it. But I am very interested in sort of developing a circle of friends, and I've been doing that for a while. I've been sort of reaching out and sharing time with others, and it's really important to have a strong, structured group of friends that you meet on a regular basis, and spend time relating to. And recently, it's just become more valuable to me. And, developing a circle of friends is actually an important skill. A lot of people in the world today, in our society, really don't have a strong circle of friends. It's not that easy to assemble one, a circle of friends. And let me tell you why. Partly, it has to do with how many distractions there are in the world. There's work, and there's TV, and internet, and video games, and smartphones. All these electronic gadgets are really helpful in their own way, but they also take us away from that face-to-face interaction with other people, which I think is so valuable. It's so easy to dive into your smartphone, even when you're side by side with another person. And so I am taking note of how difficult it is, and I am turning off my cell phone more often when I am with others. Sharing time with others is important, and developing these connections is a priority for me. It's like gold. It's really valuable, and I think people underappreciate how valuable it is. That's not to say it's easy. It's really not. It takes a lot of courage and boldness to reach out. It also takes up time and energy. And there are other pursuits. I could watch television or surf on the internet. Though those things don't necessarily have a lot of long-term impact, are not as impactful long-term as social relationships are. So I've been focusing more on that lately, and it's been on my mind. And not only that, not just cultivating a circle of friends, but really appreciating the entire spectrum of intimacy that is available to me in my friendships. It's like mining the friendships for as much enjoyment as I can. How much can I possibly enjoy the friends the circle of friends that I create? What are the possibilities? And it turns out that there are a lot of possibilities, and there are a lot of ways to enjoy other people's company. And in the future, I'll go into them a little bit more. Anyway, I just want to thank you for sharing this time with me. I love you very much, and I hope you're enjoying your time at school and the time that you spend doing sports and working on your projects. I'm looking forward to seeing you the next time I see you, and I hope that you're healthy and that your dog is healthy. And I hope your parents and your mother and stepfather are doing well. And I'll talk to you when I talk to you, okay? Have a good one. Peace. I love you.